Well, welcome back to Righteousness Revealed Radio. I'm Bradley.
And I'm Austin.
And today we are going to jump into John chapter 1 and start talking through that verse by verse. So if you have your Bibles with you, go ahead and open. We're going to read John 1 through 18. I'm going to go ahead and read that now. I'm reading the English Standard Version. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. He was in the beginning with God. All things were made through him, and without him was not anything made that was made. In him was life, and that life was the light of men. Now the light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it. There was a man sent from God whose name was John. He came as a witness to bear witness about the light, that all might believe through him. He was not the light, but came to bear witness about the light. The true light, which gives light to everyone, was coming into the world. He was in the world, and the world was made through him, yet the world did not know him. He came to his own, and his own people did not receive him. But to all who did receive him, to those who believed in his name, he gave the right to become children of God, who are born not of blood, nor of the will of the flesh, nor of the will of man, but of God. And the Word became flesh and dwelt among us, and we have seen his glory as of the only Son from the Father, full of grace and truth. John bore witness about him and cried out, "This was he of whom I said, he who comes after me ranks before me, because he was before me." For from his fullness we have all received grace upon grace. For the law was given through Moses, grace and truth came through Jesus Christ. No one has ever seen God, the only God who is at the Father's side. He has made him known.
A to the men. So verse 1, we have, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. So right at the beginning of the verse, we have in the beginning. And if you were raised Christian or have heard, been around Christians, you probably know where that comes from. In Genesis 1:1, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. So it totally mirrors Genesis. I think John did that on purpose. So he starts kind of big picture. Let's bring it all the way back. In the beginning was the Word. And this phrase "in the beginning" is before anything was created. It was as far back as you want to go and push that beginning. In the beginning was the Word. So there's this Word. And the Word was with God, and the Word was God. So
this is like the Trinitarian verse.
Yeah. You read this and you're like, wait, what does that mean? You read it again. Okay, I read that right. This verse is awesome.
We'll kind of see too, if you read through this, this is called John's prologue, right? And in here you see that a significant portion of it is devoted to the deity, the divinity of Christ, the Trinity, those kind of relationships. Wait, what do you mean? The Word is with God, the Word was God. Who is the Word? Where did he come from? What is he? This section is where you go to find those answers. That's his goal. And it's like he's like, before you go on in the Gospel of John, before you see anything else, you need to know this first about Jesus. We'll see the Word is Jesus. You need to know this. Yeah. In the beginning was Jesus, was the Word. He was with God, he was God. He's like, this is where we're starting, in the beginning. Then we'll get to everything else. And if you watched our previous show, you'll remember that the purpose of this book is that we may know that Christ, he's the Son of God, he's the Messiah, and that by believing in him, we may have life. So we're starting off, why is that the case? Why do we have to believe in him to get this life?
Yeah, it's about Jesus. Who is this Jesus? And you know this is important because in verse 2, he basically repeats himself. He was in the beginning with God. So in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. He was in the beginning with God. So you know when he repeats it, it's super important.
It's also, notice he says he. He doesn't say it. He. That's a personal pronoun. This word is not just an idea. It's not just the magical force that binds the universe together. You Star Wars fans, it's a person. It's he was in the beginning with God, alongside God, with God.
Yeah, this is personal. So there goes the idea of any impersonal deity, force, spirit, like you said. So you have the Word was, let's see. and the Word was with God. Makes sense. And the Word was God. But put those two together, you're like, wait, we don't even talk like that. Like, you're talking about me like the word so-and-so was Austin, and Austin was with Austin. Like, that doesn't make sense at all. Like, what does that mean? Like, just does not compute. So there's so many profound things to talk about that statement. But what is John saying there? John wants to hit at the Word was God. So this is truly deity, God, the uncreated creator, for point one. But point two.
And you especially see the uncreated creator part with the in the beginning clause.
Yeah.
Because it's in the beginning, because it's before creation, at the start of everything, before the start of everything, he was with God. He's not created. He is the uncreated creator.
Yeah.
I like that you said that.
Yeah, completely preeminent. And then point two, and the Word was, and the Word was with God. So there's distinction going on here. There's difference in something.
Yeah. A lot of times you'll hear people who don't understand the Trinity or they mock the Trinity because we live in Utah, we deal with Mormons, Latter-day Saints. They kind of mock this idea that, well, okay, so Jesus is like a big, there's a big puppet thing going on. God is puppeteering Jesus and then puppeteering the Father. Nope, that's not what's going on. This is really explicit. The Word was with God, was alongside him. There's a distinction. We call those distinctions persons. The Father and the Son are different persons, but yet both are God and fully God and completely God. And anyways, so it's not true that the Father is the Son. That's not what we say. The Father and the Son are different. It's just that the Father is God and the Son is God. And not that that's talking about it here, but the Spirit is also God. And all three are distinct persons still.
Yeah, it's the he. So he was with God, the Word, he. To jump ahead a little bit, and you see in verse 14, we know that the Word became flesh, and so we know obviously that this Word is Jesus. So Jesus is with God and was God. So there's that distinction there. Separate, almost centers of consciousness. These individuals were in the beginning. It's important. This distinction was also there in the beginning. It's not like it just kind of happened somewhere down the road.
It's not like God changed his nature.
Yeah.
At one point he's like, well, and now we're adding the Son. Nope.
Yeah.
The Son has always been there, always been.
Yeah, and we see equality there. So the Son is
yeah.
God. Like he
Right.
literally is God, the creator of the universe. And the word in Greek is logos or logos, depending on how you pronounce it, which the Greeks just understood to be like reason and logic and like that kind of thing that binds everything together and holds everything together. And John says, yeah, that's Jesus.
Yeah. There's a lot of philosophical thought kind of behind that word logos, and it's really rich in meaning, and it talks about pre-Socratic philosophers. Before Socrates, philosophers were thinking about what is like the ultimate root of the universe and of existence. We have a guy named Philo, and he kind of contributed to this. But this word logos, it really rich in its meaning. Like Austin said, reason, logic, kind of source of existence, the power with which things were done in the universe. And I'm no philosopher, so to be honest, all this is just stuff that I've read. So I don't completely understand or grasp it or comprehend it, but I do know that word is loaded. And John is most likely pulling from cultural understandings of that word to say, now this thing that holds the universe together, that is a person, not a thing. And that person is God. And he was with God. He was in the beginning with God.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that in the beginningness, the with Godness, that idea gives rise to this other idea. Well, if he was there, was he created? Was he... Well, no, we obviously know God is not created. Otherwise, he would not be God. Now, that's a whole other topic to go into. But that's what is obvious. The Jews understood this all through Isaiah.
That kind of pushes into verse 3 a little bit. It leads us there. Verse 3 says, all things were made through him, and without him was not anything made that was made. This is all things were made through him. So this means that there was not a single thing that was ever made, that was not directly made through the Word. He, him, Jesus. He is the one who created it. This is really, really huge because a lot of people might think that Jesus was created by the Father. The Father created Jesus, and then Jesus created everything else. But nope, all things were made through him, and without him was not anything made that was made. So everything that's been made ever was made by Jesus. Jesus, if he was made, would have been made by Jesus, and that's not what it's saying. It's not weird like that. God, the Father, did not just make Jesus and then have Jesus make it. The Father and the Son and the Spirit, they work together. The Son was the agent of creation. He went out and he created everything that exists. I'm going to read 3 verses that I think are helpful kind of cross-references for this. Colossians 1:16 says this, "For by him," that is Jesus specifically, "all things were created in heaven and on earth, visible and invisible," it says it, but through him and for him. So everything was created in heaven and on earth through him and for him. Hebrews 1:2 says, through whom also he, Jesus, created the world. And then at the very end of the Bible, we get Revelation 22, verse 13, where Jesus says, "I am the Alpha and the Omega, the first and the last, the beginning and the end." So when it says all things were made through him, and without him was not anything made that was made, you just have to take it for what it says. Everything that's made, everything that exists outside of God was made through the person of Jesus, the Word, the Son of God. The Father willed it, and the Son, by his divine power, he enacted everything. God spoke, and the Word of God, right, created it. And we'll see even more, if this does not prove the divinity of Christ, what does? The idea that he made everything. And this is somewhat of a unique view to Trinitarian believers. This is something that we hold to not because we just like being clever and we like making random things up, but because the Bible is clear. Look, it says Jesus was with God. It says Jesus is God. And it said everything was made through him. I'm not trying to play games here. I'm not just adhering to some Nicene Christianity that distorted everything the Bible said. Nope. That's the accusation a lot of Mormons throw at Christians, if you're not familiar with that argument. No, I'm not just doing this to be clever or cute. No, this is right here what it says. And if you just take the most plain, clear reading of these 3 verses, we see the Word is divine, but Jesus and the Father are separate persons, and Jesus made everything, every single thing. And so that's where we're going to go ahead and end for today. That was John 1:1-3. We're going to continue next time. Keep on going through this prologue of John. Thanks for watching Righteousness Revealed Radio. Again, I'm Bradley.
And I'm Austin.
And we'll see you next time.